Joe Biden is getting sued by 20 states. That's a good start.
And the serpent could fly, wielder of the flame of honor.
So on the first day of office, Biden lays out all of these presidential orders, and one of them was to revoke the permit for the Keystone Pipeline. Now, about 20 states are going to basically crater all their income. These are red states, of course. The Democrat states, they're just going to say, oh, whatever. That's how we do it over here. You lose energy and you have to buy it from foreign people. That's okay. Or we're going to use windmills to power our cars. Here's the article over at Fox Business. A group of red states will file a lawsuit on Thursday against the Biden administration for revoking the permit for the Keystone XL pipeline, which the president did via executive order on his first day in office, Fox News has learned. The lawsuit, first obtained by Fox News, is led by Montana and Texas, the big two, and backed by 19 other states, including Alabama, Arizona, Arkansas, Georgia, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, Nebraska, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, South Carolina, South Dakota, Texas, Utah, West Virginia, and Wyoming. It names President Biden and several of his cabinet secretaries as defendants. This goes to show where the Democrat compassion to try to save the world from carbon emissions ends up hurting Americans and American jobs. This pipeline was set to go through 6 counties in extreme eastern Montana. 5 of those counties are already designated as high poverty counties. He told Fox Business the project was set to become the largest property taxpayer in all of those counties. That's out the window, just shy of 4,000 jobs out the window. So here's where their good intentions go bad. The pipeline ended up helping America be energy independent. So we didn't have to buy our oil from other areas, other countries. OPEC is a thing of the past. This was one of the great breakthroughs, and it sustained impoverished counties all through these states. And as this thing's going to go to the courts, they're going to try and find out who has the jurisdiction to do this. Supposedly, it is the Congress that deals with international pipelines because the pipeline went up to Canada. So it should be sent to Congress. That is not part of the president's ability to determine whether if the pipeline can exist or not. We're hoping and rooting for the Republicans in this one in those 20 states because they're going to get gutted from all this income if it continues to be shut down. Not that the Biden administration cares. I'm Doug TenNapel in Exile. Months after Trump's court cases were dismissed, and really they were just forgotten, now court cases are bubbling up all over America, questioning the irregularities in the 2020 elections. Trump was right.
And the serpent could fly, wielder of the flame of honor.
Michigan, Wisconsin, Virginia court action shows some absentee ballot procedures imposed by Democrats violated the state law. Dad. So, Dad, what happened to the election? Trump put up all these lawsuits in all these states, and they all got dismissed. The Supreme Court wouldn't even look at them, right? Mm-hmm. Now, after the election, all of the states are bringing up lawsuits. They're a little more carefully put together, and now they're starting to stick. They're going, wait a minute. What the Democrats did with the voter rules, changing them right before the election, that is unconstitutional.
I've got an opinion about this, and when I go to breakfast with my other 2 buddies every Thursday morning, we talk some politics once in a while. The thing that bothers me with the Republicans is that they have no idea where the jugular vein is.
Yeah.
The Democrats all know where it is. And one little thing happens, and they're indicting you, and you're in court, and you're impeached, and you're kicked out, and it happens immediately. Where, that little Troy Gowdy guy, what's his?
Trey Gowdy, yeah.
Yeah, Trey Gowdy. There's a mouth of the South if I ever saw one. He gets on Fox News, he gets you all fired up, and he don't do shit.
Yeah.
That bothers me about the Republican Party, is there's no damn follow-through. Everybody's just a big mouth, and
They don't know how to fist fight.
you know, yeah, and Hillary got by with murder. If that was a Republican, they would have had her indicted and in court the next day.
Yep.
But the Republicans, that's why I got to hand it to the Democrats. They're strong. That's cool. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
The Republicans should learn something from that. Do something about it.
Democrats fight like they believe it. And Republicans,
They just get you all worked up and then they're gone. They're on a show for a half hour and then get you all worked up and then they're gone.
here's the article. Long after former President Donald Trump dropped his legal challenges to the 2020 election, some courts in battleground states are beginning to declare the way widespread absentee ballots were implemented or counted violated state laws. This is just about defending the laws that were already on the books. The latest ruling came this month in Michigan, where the State Court of Claims concluded that the Democratic Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson's instructions on signature verification for absentee ballots violated state law. To me, this is good news, that they're finally working out the vote, questioning the kind of flimsy practices that they put into effect 1 month before the last election. But Dad, do you think it's too late?
Sure it is. Yeah, it's too late. It'll all just get swept under the rug now.
If you had to do something about it, you can give up.
That's what's happening.
You can,
And they will give up. They'll mention all this stuff, but it's not going to go anywhere.
but do you just
Biden's
concede? Do you just concede the election then to the left and just say from now
do.
on you guys can
Yeah.
have it?
No. You're not from now on. You only concede this election. Things get straightened out, hopefully, by the next election.
Yeah, well, that's what all of this is showing. This is evidence that it's getting straightened out.
Yeah, hopefully it'll get straightened.
Here's a visual I have of a ton of elections being questioned across the United States. The GOP is doing it. This was just announced on the news.
But in more than 40 states, Republicans are the ones trying to change election laws, with more than 250 proposals that critics say would curb at least some voter access. In Georgia, there are proposals to limit access to absentee ballots, add ID requirements, and restrict the number of weekend early voting days.
Okay, we're going to wrap this up. I'm Doug TenNapel in Exile with Dad. Dad! I'm Doug TenNapel in Exile with my dad. Jared Kushner turns his back on Trump. What a terrible son.
I am the serpent that could fire, wielder of the flame of honor.
Since Trump has left the White House, his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, has been distancing himself from the Trump administration or from Trump's team. And he recently did a op-ed in the Wall Street Journal praising Biden's foreign policy. We are at Newsweek, WEAK. Jared Kushner praises Biden's approach to China, Middle East in op-ed. Kushner, Donald Trump's son-in-law and a former senior White House advisor, commended President Joe Biden's foreign policy stance on China and the Middle East. In an editorial published on the Wall Street Journal on Sunday, Kushner praised smart moves made early on by the new administration, but credited Trump for creating an improved relationship between the U.S. and Iran. The Biden administration, this is Kushner, is making China a priority in its foreign policy, and rightly so. One of Mr. Trump's greatest legacies will be changing the world's view on China's behavior. But it would be a mistake not to build on the progress in the Middle East. It sounds to me like Jared is trying to get a job as a lobbyist or working for the Biden administration. That could be pushing it too far.
Perhaps most interesting of all right now is the one bold-faced name from his inner circle who appears MIA, Jared Kushner, his son-in-law. Once a fixture in the White House and on the campaign trail, sources are now telling CNN about a possible change in the relationship between the two men.
This is CNN. So I don't know how much you can trust it.
Jared Kushner is checked out of politics right now, certainly checked out of the Trump political world, which is, as you noted, really stunning.
That's okay. Everyone falls asleep during CNN.
This is classic Jared Kushner, that this is the reputation that he built. When things were really good, he would run to the cameras and talk about winning, although I shouldn't actually overstate the run to the cameras. He wasn't on camera that much, but he wanted to take credit for it. And when things got bad, he would retreat and say, my hands are off. But, you know, it is noteworthy that the former president has had a lot of discussions recently with his new political team, and Kushner is not one of them.
Well, we're going to find out what happens with Trump and Kushner. Kind of seems like a non-event. If Trump succeeds again, Kushner will be back in and be back on the front lines doing his hard work. But in the meanwhile, he's got to try to land a job, probably with Biden, or be involved with the Iran deal. I mean, he did earn a place given he struck out a peace deal with Israel. But even Israel now is just mowing right over the Biden deal. They're not going to mix with Iran at all. They're not going to go back to that Iran missile deal at all. They're going to ignore anyone who is hooked on with Biden, including Kushner. So Kushner, get with the winning team. Get back with your dad. Dad! I'm Doug TenNapel in exile. CNN has lost 50% of its viewers since Trump left office.
Cool.
America!
Yeah.
I am the serpent that could fly, wielder of the flame of honor.
Okay, CNN is hemorrhaging viewers since Trump left office. They're down 50% in key measurables. Liberal Network has lost 47% of primetime audience. That means they tried to cancel Trump and they thought, how do we stop talking about this guy? And basically, by Trump leaving, they have deflated by 50%. Now, 50% of their viewing audience.
He created a vacuum.
That's right. 50% of their ad revenue gone because
What a shame. I feel so bad.
No,
Huh? It's terrible.
I need to be in therapy. CNN's been hemorrhaging viewers since Trump left office. CNN averaged 2.5 million primetime viewers from November 4th, the day following the presidential election, through Inauguration Day on January 20th. But the viewers fled the liberal network once President Biden took office. By the way, this hasn't just happened. Not only has CNN lost views, but Fox has lost almost 50% of their views. I know that because I've been watching their ratings all this time. Basically, when Trump is on TV and in the news, because he kicks the beehive so hard, everyone loves seeing him do his thing. When he leaves and all the news goes back to normal, it is boring as heck and no one wants to watch it. So now this is the conundrum that CNN has. By covering the Biden administration, they will lose money. By talking about Trump and how terrible he is or how terrible he was, they will make money. Guess what they'll decide to do? Now, if they're a good business, they'll keep talking about Trump. That will keep him present in politics throughout 2022 when he runs the Republicans all back into the Senate. It's going to be great. What a great strategy. We're going to win no matter what.
I want to know what all these Republicans are doing about this China thing. And
I think TenNapel said it best.
But that means what?
That
If ratings are up, that means what?
The ratings are up. It means you can't do without Donald Trump.
I'm Doug TenNapel in exile.